a briefing for Wednesday, the 18th of January. I'm Stephen Ridgway. Eliza won't be joining us again today, but she almost promises to be back with us tomorrow. So, the default configuration for around 300 MSI motherboards will allow any operating system to run, regardless of the secure boot requirements that you may have. A piece of research that has been carried out fairly recently by a student researcher in New Zealand found that the always execute policy on violation of the secure boot parameters will in fact make the secure boot parameters null and void, and the always execute policy is set by default on desktop motherboards rather than laptops. It appears that this is a desktop motherboard issue. So MSI boards are very common. Well, they used to be. I'm assuming they still are. Haven't built my own stuff for a little while now. So there is something to bear in mind if you are using a signed and a real operating system. It does help help your security if you are using secure boot. Appreciate that sometimes there are challenges with some of these things, but it is designed to include checking things like UEFI firmware drivers, EFI applications, operating systems, and so on, to reduce the risk of things being introduced on boot that may then lurk and compromise your device. So if you are using MSI motherboards in any of your equipment, check that the always execute policy is not set for violations for secure boots. Microsoft has patched and addressed 4 SSRF vulnerabilities in Azure. So the Azure API management function, Azure Functions, Azure Machine Learning, and Azure Digital Twins have had patches applied to them. Researchers were able to exploit the flaws by sending requests in the server's name, even without having to authenticate to an Azure account, they said. So these relatively serious flaws have now been addressed. However, if you're using any of those services, it is worth checking to see whether anything has happened recently which is beyond what you would normally have expected to be going on within that. So takeaway from this is, well, you are to a large extent at the mercy of your cloud provider for security if you use cloud services, which are pretty common these days. So yeah, test your stuff, keep on top of vulnerabilities, and don't put things in the cloud that are really vital. I think everybody does these days. Yeah, difficult one. You are at the mercy of your cloud provider. Cloud is not more secure than on-prem. There we are. A recent rerun of a survey that was originally conducted in 2019 shows that 73% of UK schools have had a cyber incident in the last 12 months, but there we are. It's a rerun of a survey that was first carried out in 2019, where the results were 69% of schools at that point. So very little change. Yes, okay, it looks like it's gone up. I bet you it's not significant statistically. People impersonating school emails, malware infection, viruses, ransomware, important information being made unavailable. Those are some of those things that have hit schools. However, only 7% say that their school has ever been significantly disrupted by a cyber incident. So there we are. If you are looking after schools IT or local authority, local education authority IT, or a provider, or so on or so forth, definitely keep on top of security. And if you've got kids at school, teach them about being safe online. Final thing from me today is that a ransomware attack against the maritime software supplier DNV has impacted approximately 1,000 vessels. Um, so DMV is one of the major maritime software suppliers. They provide solutions and services throughout the life cycle of a vessel, from design, engineering, risk assessment, ship management, and so on. The company, which is based in Norway, provides services for about 13,000 vessels and mobile offshore units. Which, if you're into shipping, you love these gross tonnage figures. It's about 265 million gross tons, and global share 21% of the market. So this is potentially quite serious. The ransomware attack took place on January the 7th, and shut down servers connected to the ship management system operated by the company. So they are all over it. They are working to sort these things out. My experience with maritime software is that security was not really thought about until relatively recently. I have seen demonstrations of how simple it is to access ships at sea or ships in port, and so on and so forth. So yeah, so if you have a ship, um, that's a ridiculous thing to say. None of us have got a ship in this side. If you work in the maritime industry and you're responsible for cybersecurity, do keep on top of these things. It is worth having your ship pen tested if you haven't done already. I assume most people are doing that sort of stuff by now. Hopefully, DNV will be sorted, and they will understand what's going on. They are in daily communications with all 70 affected customers, and they will be continuing their ongoing forensic investigations with that. And that is all from me today. So thank you for listening, and I'll speak to you tomorrow morning. Bye bye.